we'll take the 10 yards. But the next time he runs that route, it's going to be in the back of his mind like that wood is coming. So it makes your opponent a lot more skittish. It makes them play a little more play a little more timidly out there on the field, and it showed. It showed. I was surprised to see it show that much on the Saints.
Especially with the physicality of the Saints, because they're normally a very hard,
physical team.
Very hard.
They shut down.
For them to be kind of put back, you know.
Is it Graham?
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham shut him down.
Yeah, they was jumping him at the line. They played an old school. What playoffs? When you talk about playoffs, people say you play defense and run the ball. That's what they were doing.
Jimmy Graham usually dominates.
Right.
I didn't hear his name called much during this game. And then when Marshawn Lynch bust loose, at some point it looked like they were afraid to tackle him. You know what I mean? Right. He was just really running all over people. So I think they might go to the Super Bowl. My money's on the Seattle Seahawks.
And real quickly, Gillette Stadium, Foxborough, Massachusetts, a game that we thought were going to be more competitive than it was. Pretty Tom and his boys, they went back to the 90s too with how they played. And one thing you already know about this Patriot team, if their defense shows up, they're going to win. It's no doubt. Once you turn the TV on and you see their defense making any plays, as you saw in this game early on, intercepted the ball, ran it down to the 1. They jumped in the end zone, quick score. But when they was making plays, they had 3 interceptions. It's hard to beat Tom when they don't play. And in this game, he rarely threw the ball. They was doing the same thing Seattle did. I don't know if maybe they was watching the game a little earlier and said, you know what, we should try that. So they turned around to LeGarrette Blount and gave him the ball 40 times. I don't think Tom Brady threw he didn't even throw a touchdown, and they scored 43 points. Very impressive. We'll talk a little more about that when we come back, and we'll jump into yesterday's action. Denver winning, 49ers winning, talk about how and the next stage of the playoffs. 888-926-7562. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show in a moment.
Hey, if you missed some of the show today, listen to the rebroadcast Fridays, 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on CRN-FM, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And listen, 1 to 4, 90.5 Camden, Alabama. It's the sportsjoc.com.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Your busy lifestyle demands performance. Energy drinks and shots can be an acquired taste and can cause jitters, crashes, and even stomach discomfort. The new 8-Hour Energy Patch is the natural, sugar, and calorie-free alternative to energy drinks, shots, and even coffee. It's the only energy that sticks. Just 2 time-release patches will keep you going at work, the gym, or even a night out. No unpleasant taste, jitters, or crashes. For a 12-hour boost, just add another patch. For only 4 hours, use one. You're in charge. Visit 8hourenergy.com for more info and your free sample. Do not exceed 3 patches per day.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Can you tell if these vegetables are being contaminated with bacteria that could cause paralysis? Listen, you can't see it either. Use different cutting boards so that the bacteria in raw meats and seafood and their juices doesn't touch prep surfaces for other foods like veggies. Raw food may contain bacteria that can make you very sick, or worse. Roughly 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year, but you can keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
This is a guided meditation on parenting. Take this time to breathe deeply and close your eyes. Right now, you're completely in control. Unlike the time you and your son played basketball and you attempted to slam dunk. Or when you tried removing those raccoons from the basement. Concentrate on the soothing sound of my voice. Release the memory of when you wrestled with that beehive in your son's treehouse. Let go of the time you thought that skunk was a cat, or when you pulled into the garage with your son's bike on top of the car. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hey, there's my son.
Hey, Dad.
What's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Well, it's just sort of.
Hello, Dad.
Susan? Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and maybe see some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Does any of you know how to do the nay-nay?
The what?
You know how to do the nay-nay dance? I learned about it at the BCS Championship. I was riding to the game with my friend Marquise Daniels, who I found out I think is my cousin, but we're not sure if we're cousins or not, but he played basketball, Marquise Daniels, and he was telling me about a new dance that y'all do called the nay-nay. You put your arm up and you...
Oh, she's got it.
Oh, did you see that, Kenny? Kenny number 2? I'm telling you, man, if you get the date, I'll provide the ticket. You'll be in. She loved basketball. Shave your head like Kobe. Wear you some Kobe's.
All you got to do is really be rough.
Yeah, she's international. She like it rough. She wants you to... But we'll talk about that later in the show at 11 o'clock hour. We'll get a little rough and raw.
Oh, dear.
and for all the dudes out there that know what the nay-nay is, having knowledge is a good thing, but if I see you doing the nay-nay, wherever I see you doing the nay-nay, I'm going to punch you in your chest and call your dad. That's just straight from me to you. I'm going to punch you in the chest. I'm going to call your father and tell him come get you from wherever we are.
Yeah, it's not a dance that's really made for any man over the age of 12.
It's not really made for men, period, because that's how it starts. You know what I mean?
Oh, it started at 12?
That's how it starts. He be doing the nay-nay at 12, and the next thing you know, they be calling him nay-nay. I'm just saying. Don't let it happen to your kids.
Oh, man. But
Awkward.
Saturday's game, as we was talking about real quickly, the Patriots defeating the Colts 43-22, a game that really was never in doubt. The running back Blunt for the Patriots, running all over the place, 24 carries, 166 yards, 4 TDs. The big fella really slamming it in there and really setting the tone. And the Patriots defense picking off Andrew Luck, who had more interceptions in 2 playoff games than he almost had the whole season. He threw 9 interceptions on the season. He threw 7 interceptions in the playoffs in just 2 games. But it's a learning curve. A lot of people will tell you that, about learning that there's a mystique about the playoffs that is truly true that you have to learn, because the veterans tell you that, the game is going to go to another level. And it really is, because what happens is the referees let you play a little more.
Yeah, they do.
That little foul that used to get you a flag, they don't call that anymore. So your receiver is not as open. And I think a lot of young quarterbacks have to learn that. You know, you're not going to get those little calls like you were saying when you watched the Seahawks game. In the regular season, coach would have got mad at you for that penalty. Now he's sitting there like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was talking about all week. Hit him, and we'll figure it out later. But let them know where we're coming from. But in this game, something the Patriots hadn't really done all year was dominate running the ball. And if they can run the ball like this, with Pretty Tom back there relaxing, getting a massage, fresh Uggs, It just looked like he was in his,
new jail.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
You know, something that I think is interesting, two things. One, you could see the inexperience on Andrew Luck's face when he faced adversity, when he got the pick six or when he got intercepted. You could see him shaking visibly when he thought his receiver was open, but he couldn't get an open receiver. You could see him visibly shaking. Then when they got that running game going, it was like everybody. You ever see a game like maybe a basketball game and they go, look, they can't shoot from the outside. And then they start raining 3-pointers and everybody's looking like, we didn't practice for this.
Yeah.
And that's how they were looking on the field. Like, we weren't practicing for the running game. They didn't even know the Patriots really had a running game.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Nobody knew because it's all about Tom Brady. And now all of a sudden, here comes LeGarrette Blount down the sidelines like a freight train with no brakes. And everybody's looking like, hey, man, we didn't practice for this.
Where did this come from?
Right.
Yeah.
And you could see very early on that their spirit was broken and they didn't feel like they were going to win this
No, you
game.
could see it within the first 2 minutes. I mean, when, what was it, like a minute 20, something like that? You're 7-0. I mean, that, and from an interception, I mean, that's going to kill your spirit for any team. Never mind someone who's never been in that situation in a playoff game. When you've got, more visibility, you've got more plays that you can make because you have, the calls aren't as strict. And then you've got people who are just in that hungry mentality that I have to win this game. Not, I hope we win this game. It's I have to win this game.
Yes.
And now, Sports Jock, I can ask you, because you've played at that level, what motivates someone who's already a champion? I mean, the Patriot way has garnered them many trips to the playoffs. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've won the Super Bowl. What makes you still have that fire? What gives you that drive to stay hungry at that level?
Age, a lot of times. When you look at this team, Bill Belichick is in his mid-60s, so he understands that my best coaching years as far as youth is behind me. Tom Brady is sitting over there looking like, hey, man, I'm going to really need some Uggs in about 2 more seasons, which means, and we might not get here again.
Right.
You really have to accept. A lot of people joking, and we were watching the game, me and my friend Jerome Bettis yesterday in the house. I told him, I said, man, Takeo Spikes, 15 years in the NFL, never went to a playoff game.
Yeah.
He was amazed. I say, never went to a playoff game. And you would think in 15 years, somebody got you at least to a playoff game. Forget winning a Super Bowl, a playoff game. This team, this organization understands how infrequent you can really get there. And when you get that team, I think that was the knock on the Falcons. They had a Super Bowl winning team. And the 3 or 4 years that they had it, it never happened. And then next thing you know, you're top 10 pick. You can't win any games because that's kind of how the wheel goes around. And I think that both of these, the head coach and the star quarterback, both still play with that mentality that you don't get there often. And when you do, you got to go all out because there is no tomorrow. And they really dominated this game on the offensive line, running the ball. LeGarrette Blount, who's always been a hard runner, even punched a kid. What did he get through out of college for? He punched somebody in the some dude at a bowl game. So you know he's about it. Like
it happens. Sometimes you got to punch a dude. Probably caught a dude doing the nay-nay.
Probably.
And was like, hey, man, let me talk to you. Pow!
Right.
Don't ever let me see you doing that again.
In yesterday's biggest game, I think out of the two, the 49ers going to the Panthers, Cam Newton once again, kind of like Andrew Luck, getting his first little taste, throwing 2 interceptions, learning, like I'm saying, the coverage is a little tighter because the referees don't call that little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
They let you know. Don't get to if you're a defensive end, they're not going to really call holding. If you saw the games, you see it wasn't a lot of penalties, those little ticky-tack penalties. The referees do turn a blind eye. Kind of even in the NBA, you see it.
Yep. You definitely see it.
They call less and less, and when you watch this game, Colin Kaepernick, did enough to win. Wasn't a great day for him. Anquan Bolden looked like he had found the fountain of youth out there catching everything.
And getting in people's faces.
And he just loved that kind of playoff Because it's kind of like what Marky said. This is it.
Yeah.
When this clock goes out, either you won or you call the U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
That's how the playoffs. It's a real cold feeling.